All right, welcome everybody to my favorite part of the day other than lunch, which is hearing from some of our Riverbat students who have successfully transferred, are about to transfer, or are getting pretty close to transferring in the future. Because as much as the transfer services team can tell you what we think is good advice and what we think you should do, hearing from past Riverbats who have done it is, I think, much more meaningful. So we are going to get started by having each of our panelists introduce themselves, share where you have or will be transferring, and what you're majoring in. And we'll start down here at this end of the table.
My name is Shay Tremeter, and I am studying business administration. That's my major. And I'm also going to try to double major in sociology as well. And I got into McCombs at UT. I pass it.
My name is Walter Beck, and I am also a successful transfer to the McCombs School of Business at UT Austin.
And y'all can woo and cheer and clap for them too.
I am Ashley Rawmaker. I will be transferring into the Humanities Honors Program. UT.
Hi, I'm Paulina Mendoza. I'm majoring in international relations and I'm going to UT.
Hi, I'm T. I'm still a current student here at ACC, majoring in general studies and liberal arts. But I plan to transfer to UT in the spring to double major in youth and community studies with a professional concentration in education, leadership, and policy and economics with a minor in African and African American studies.
Hi, my name is Mason Bichard. I'm majoring in corporate communication at Moody School in UT. And I'm going to do a minor in music and media industry studies as well.
Y'all, it was just a coincidence that we sent out an invite to a bunch of students that had told us they were transferring, and they all happened to be students who got into UT. I know, right? I do want to take a minute. Let's give them another round of applause because getting into UT is tough. So the next question we usually ask is why you selected the university you selected, and all of these answers are going to be about UT, but if you could also maybe share if there were other schools that you considered and applied to, and what were the characteristics or strengths of those schools that made you apply to them, and whoever wants to start can start.
So the reason I had chosen UT is because I knew I wanted to stay local because feasibly that's all I could afford. I did also apply and get into St. Ed's. I was going to apply to Texas State, but my family's here in Austin. I wanted to stay in Austin. It's been my home for like 15 years now. So that was my reasoning.
So I chose UT because I just moved to Austin 2 years ago. So I'm like, not trying to move again. But I did this youth and community studies fellowship with the honors program. And I really enjoyed the atmosphere and the things that I got to learn and the people that I was able to engage with at the college. And so like that's what really sold it for me.
T, you are planning to apply for a couple other schools too, right? I know we've talked about that. What other schools are you considering?
Texas A&M, Howard University, and Princeton.
Thanks, Walt. I applied to several schools that I didn't get into. One of them was a women's college. It's called Wellesley. And I was actually really sad about that. And I think that's what happens too, is you like apply to these schools and you're hoping that like, you know, you're going to get in, and it can kind of like hit you, like hit your self-esteem a little bit. Like, what's wrong with me? I worked so hard. How did I not get in? And I would just like advise, if you try to get in places and you don't get in, just remember that like that school is not the school for you, right? It's like if someone doesn't see the quality that you have and that you bring to the school, then you don't belong there. But although I was hurt because I was like, I'm all woman. Like, why do I not get in a women's school? So I want to offer that too. It was kind of a hard process for me personally.
So when I first started out at ACC, I like really narrowed in on the McCombs School of Business, but it wasn't until after my first year that I started considering other options as, hey, there's a reality when you don't get into McCombs. So what's my backup plan? So I looked into the business programs at A&M and Texas State, but I also looked further abroad at like Cornell University and NYU. But I realized that, Austin was always going to be the right fit for me. I have a lot of connection to the city. My essay actually reflected a lot of my history with the city, what I've done here, and I couldn't feel any more comfortable anywhere else.
So my transfer advisor will know. As soon as I went into my transfer meeting, I said, I'm going to UT. That was like it. I'm going to UT. And he's like, well, maybe pick a couple other schools to try. And so I applied to 8 other schools. I got into 4 of them. I got into SMU, TCU, Baylor, and UT. And the other schools were Ivy Leagues that I really didn't want to go to, so I didn't try. But I applied. And the reason why I was determined to go to UT is I'm from here. I live North Austin. I was raised here. My family's here. And I was a missionary for 10 years before I came back to school. And so I've been away for so long. So I was determined to be able to stay here with my family. So
I chose UT for a couple of reasons, some personal, some academic, some silly. Um, Practical. I've been here 11 years. I have a house on the east side. It's 10 minutes away. It kind of seems like a no-brainer. Um, Personally, I grew up in the Bay Area, and Cal was always a part of my life, and I really wanted to go to Cal, but I was a horrible high school student. I just couldn't get together, and I just was not good enough. So, me going back to school and trying really hard to go to UT was kind of like a way for me to prove to myself, I can do it, I can get in. Academically, Moody School of Communication is top ranking in the nation. I'm in the music industry, have been for 10 years, and it's highly competitive. So I wanted to pick a school that was going to back up my resume and kind of reinforce my position and make me a stronger candidate in this industry that I foolishly chosen.
This is amazing. Congratulations to you all. T, good luck. All the applause is pushing you to next year. Getting into UT is challenging. And I know all of y'all are amazing and did so much work on your own, but what are some of the ACC resources that you utilized that you think have helped you either get to this point or helped you get to the university, well, to UT? You flip a coin.
So I made very liberal use of my advising sessions. I made sure to meet with my advisor at least every semester or twice a semester, and then to shoot them emails through. So I knew that I was on the same page. I had the right idea in mind. The brochures that they put out for ACC students that are looking to transfer to a lot of the Texas universities are very good and something that you should constantly be referencing. And then, of course, transfer services as well. They always come in clutch with a good review of like essays or options, and yeah, and then some of the other services around the school. So I frequently like to go to the snack place at the front. Yeah, because I always needed to pick me up between classes. I always
Do you
felt like I
mean
was
our
rushing.
free, the free?
Yeah, the free snack.
Talk more about that.
Yeah.
Tell them about this.
Yeah, yeah. You have to take advantage of the free stuff that's offered to you whenever you can.
go to student life. You get free stuff. But yeah, so I worked with Student Life, by the way, so I love Student Life. They're amazing. Some of my advice that really helped me: you will not bother your transfer advisor if you email them constantly, as Victor knows. We worked on that essay constantly. I met with him literally every Wednesday to go over my essay and to make sure that it was polished and that it was something that I could be proud of and that I knew was my best. We rewrote it so many so many times. I would also say good friends that ACC offers. You get lifelong friends here if you allow it, if you let them in. The honors program is great if you are able and have the time to engage with the honors program as well as great. So yeah.
So some of the resources that I used here is it's kind of gonna be repetitive, but I use transfer services. I didn't decide into this summer that I was gonna transfer this spring. I was like, ah yeah, kind of late. So I recommend that if you know you want to transfer when you want to transfer, don't wait until the last minute because there's a lot of heavy stuff that you have to do. Like right now, I'm meeting with them every 2 weeks to kind of like work on my academic resume and my essay so that I can make sure I have everything, done by like September 1st to like October 15th. But something else that I used here at ACC was the honors program. Like I recommend really engaging with them, and also my professors, like they were my biggest like supporters. I was like, hey, like, I want to do this. And so I emailed them a lot and I talked to them about like different universities, different degree paths, and like different areas of interest that I have. So in advising, like I really utilize my advising and academic coaching as well. So that's some of the things that I recommend.
I would say when I first started going back to ACC, I definitely made sure to do like an academic, like advising session, make sure I was taking the right courses and that I wasn't wasting my time. Also, since I had been coming from other community colleges, I wanted to make sure as many units transferred over as much as possible so I didn't have to go over and take other classes again. And obviously, yes, I will definitely say the transfer resources were fantastic. Your academic essay is going to be a huge chore. I probably had it looked over 5 different times with my advisor, then sent it to 2 other personal friends of mine, worked on it some more, and then a month or 2 later, even looking at it again, I still didn't like it and wanted to work on it. So I will say when you're working on it, treat it like a piece of art. Like, I don't know if any of you do visual arts or music, but if you spend too much time in the studio, you can't really see the differences between the things that you make. Just step away for a while and come back with it with fresh eyes. That's my advice.
Also, do you want to go first? You can go first. One resource that I used a lot because I was trying to get into the business school, I didn't realize you have to take calculus, and I am not. I'm going to into business administration for like maybe reasons that are not as mathematical. And I really struggled with math incredibly. Like before I started ACC, I couldn't divide fractions, and I'm not joking. And calculus was hard. And I had to take the college algebra before pre-cal and then pre-cal and then calculus. And I struggled. And so I used the tutoring resources at the Learning Lab, and they saved my life. And I don't mean they did it for me. I mean, they actually helped me conceptualize math in ways that I could understand. And I think people learn in all kinds of different ways. And sometimes, the professor isn't going to sit there and explain it, maybe my professors will explain it a little more for me, but tutors can really help you. So if you struggle with math, if you have courses that you're like, this is the course that's going to help me get to what I'm trying to get into, but I don't even understand that, then go use the tutors because they're awesome.
And Shay, how much did the tutoring services cost you?
They were free. Free, completely free, totally free. And you can also go online too. So if you're like at home and you're like, oh man, I'm like stuck right now. It's 8 p.m. at night. Let me get on Upswing. Is that what's called, right? Upswing. And ask a tutor there. And you also find your tutors too. There's like chemistry that you have with some tutors. Like some tutors are great, but they're just like not your vibe. And then like you have tutors are like amazing and that's like your thing. Everyone's got a different taste and whatever, but all the tutors here at ACC are incredible. So I recommend that highly too. And then the transfer services were really awesome. I also recommend what T said is honors. Like I would really get yourself in honors. I thought at first, oh, maybe I shouldn't get in honors because I'm kind of dumb. But then I like plunged into honors and it was awesome because the classes are really small. It's like 15 people classrooms. The professors are really great and they really care. And you're capable. You're totally capable. You may not think you are. I mean, I didn't think I was. Maybe you don't think you are, but everyone's really capable. So take honors and then you have Jana, who's an honors advisor, and she can jump in and see exactly what you need in like 3 minutes. And it's incredible. That woman helps you so much. So she's also free. I mean, like for advising.
And then to kind of repeat what everyone's already kind of mentioned, transfer services has been such a big help for me. So I'm a non-traditional student. I went to school at ACC like 10 years ago, pretty much kind of flunked out. Like I had 3 withdrawals, my GPA was a 1.4. So when I came back, I was like, there's no feasible way I'm going to go to UT. Like, let me just go do what I can at ACC. But when I met with an advisor, they had let me know that any Texas public university has an academic fresh start program. So they will essentially get rid of any grades, good or bad, from 10 years ago, and they will give you a new GPA. So that is how I was able to get a competitive GPA to get into UT. And I would not have known that without transfer advising. And then when I met with them, they also gave me kind of like a blueprint of if I wanted to go to UT, they take a holistic approach with their admissions. So they're like, okay, you need to focus on maybe a recommendation. What student organizations can you join? If you're looking at internships, what internships are you looking for? So that gave me kind of the blueprint to what I could find at ACC as far as resources. That's how I found the honors program. One of my professors was able to connect me with another student who transferred to UT who was able to help me with my essay. And then through there, I also found a connection to get my internship, which I did last fall at the the spring at the legislator. So use the resources you can here, interact with your professors, interact with your advisors. They're just here to help you.
I want to point out that all of the resources they shared are free services available by ACC. And many of those services will be here tomorrow at lunchtime. We're going to do a resource fair so you can meet with the honors ambassadors to learn about the programs. You can connect with student life, with transfer services. They'll be here tomorrow at lunchtime. So please come back tomorrow. So the UT application is a little bit different. You've heard them talk about the holistic application, the resume, your essay. Not every school is going to require that, but all of them went through this much more rigorous process. Can you all share what the actual transfer process was like for you? Were there speed bumps? Were there challenges? I know you've touched on academic fresh start and the essay, but are there other pieces of advice or anecdotes you want to share about your time through the transfer process for this group here in the room?
So one thing that when I met with a student who had gotten into UT, she had let me know for your essay, let them know why you want to go to UT, what specifically. Mention the professors that you want to take, mention what sets them apart from any other university that you're also applying to, why you want to go to that school specifically. And I feel like that definitely helped me because she let me know like everyone has a story. So for me, that definitely helps me. Also, academic fresh start also helps. As far as the transfer process, it took a long time. UT's decisions came out, I think, like 3 weeks late this year or this fall. So it was a little intense, but it was definitely worth it.
But we all still look excited. Yeah. How much just registered for that? You you want to go first? Or
Yeah, well,
I want to, you go first.
well, I wasn't going to talk about that. I was actually going to talk about the question that we just had about the transfer process. I don't recall like roadblocks or anything like that that came up, but I just remember, I remember very distinctly that when I had to like plug the March 15th deadline of all of these applications in, I was drowning. You know, like March 15th is a really important time in your courses. And depending on what courses you're taking and like what's going on, like it's insane. And so I also took it really seriously, and I just felt flooded with like, so I don't think I actually fully paid as much attention to all the other applications as I did UT's application, you know? I would recommend, I think what I'm trying to say is that instead of just when the application time comes, sending it, I would just do your application like in December when you're like, or there's different periods, right? I think there's 2 different periods for like spring or fall, but if you're trying to apply for the fall, I would say just do your application in December when you're sitting around, you know, eating winter things, and really focus on that essay so that you can read it 5 million times, like you will anyway, before you actually submit the application, and you can have people review it, you can have help with it. But having to send a bunch of applications like March 15th is a little bit hell, especially if you're taking your courses really seriously and you're like in it, you know? So that was rough. And then also, I will say this, my essay I felt was controversial. I actually thought I wouldn't get into UT very specifically because of my essay and what I mention in my essay, because it's not something people can really talk about a whole lot. But I did mention it, and I'm actually really grateful that they read it and they still accepted me because of it. So I think I have to say that you should be yourself, and whatever struggles you've had, whatever obstacles, whatever's come your way, or trauma even, mention it if you feel like it has some impact on how you've overcome it and how you can do well and succeed despite it. So that's the only other thing I'll say.
I'm going to jump in here, Shay, because one thing you mentioned earlier was that you shared you didn't get into a different school, but the way you looked at it was you ended up where you belonged. And your application is a reflection of you. While you all are looking for the right school for you, they're also looking for the right students that will be successful at that institution. So being yourself, showing your true person in your application is extremely valuable. And you'll hear that a lot when you work. If you're doing the essay for UT, you'll hear that from all of our transfer specialists. So thank you.
So I'm gonna kind of go step by step a little bit, kind of because it's everything is kind of weighted at UT, like 20% this, 20% that. It's very they call it the holistic because it is. So first with the essay, my essay was very. I started my essay very non-traditionally because again, I'm COLA student, and for me, I wanted to show them how much, because I wanted to go into something with literature, because my focus for my thesis is folklore and mythology. And so for my essay specifically, I, in my own words, rewrote the scene from J.R.R. Tolkien's Hobbit, where he's like, or from from the Lord of the first book. Can't remember right now. My brain is like crazy, but where he's in the cave. I literally, that was my start, and then I like that. It was very much me. This is how you're in it. You're starting it, and it showed how much literature impacted my life from a very young age. So it's okay to not start it. My name is whatever. Like, you start it how you feel is going to be the most impactful for you as whatever you want to go into. So that was my essay advice. And from Victor. Victor loved it. He was like, "Oh my God!" So the next part is that I kind of struggled with a little bit was recommendations. Recommendations are hard. And one of the things that UT specifically says, and if you I do recommend go to a UT transfer walkthrough, like go to one, ask them questions as well, because they will also give you some hints into their process. It was very important. I went to like 3 of them because I wanted to be able to really ask questions. I wanted to walk the campus to make sure it was somewhere that I wanted to go. And so through that, I was really able to hear how they wanted recommendations, what they like to see in a recommendation. And they don't want, like, if you get a teacher recommendation, they don't want that teacher recommendation to be, they sat in class and they were,
And just to clarify, you're talking about letters of recommendation written about you as an applicant,
as
right?
an applicant. Yes, yes, because they ask for two. They ask for two of them, and they want it from people who either know you really, really well, not your parents, but like somebody outside, not a boss. It's not a business recommendation. For me, because I took Latin 1 through 4, I really got to know my Latin teacher. He got to know me very, very well because we had to fight for Latin 4, 3, and 4. And so I got a recommendation from him, as well as my honors history 2 professor, who is one of the UT master's professors, asked if he could write mine as well, because we really worked together on one of my projects in there. So really communicate with your teachers, get to know your teachers. It's okay to email them, like you're writing an essay, you're writing a project or whatever. Email them that project, say, I want your feedback. I want your input. Am I doing this right? Am I, answering this question correctly? Because they want interaction, but it also gives you the ability to get them to know you on a deeper level, to be able to ask for those recommendations. The next part that was really helpful for me was UT specifically, and your transfer advisor will let you know that they have this, is that UT actually has specific ACC, UT to UT like core curriculum charts to say, like, take this class at ACC, it will transfer over. Take this class if you're in the school wanting to go to the specific school. So helpful. I went down that as well, and it was really, really helpful to know what exactly transferred, because again, I was determined I was going to UT. So those were some of the things that really, really helped me, I feel like, be able to get in.
So I do want to add one thing, kind of touching on recommendations. I was only at ACC for like a year before I decided to transfer. So I will say I didn't have an academic recommendation letter. I just had one from my salon manager, because that's where I'd worked for 3 years. So even those, as long as it's someone who really knows you, who knows your character, who can vouch for you, that definitely makes a difference. So even if because for me, sometimes I get really anxious talking to my professors outside of class. Like, I'm taking other classes, like sometimes after class, I just want to leave and I don't want to think about class. So I get really anxious asking people or interacting with my professors that way. So just so you know, like, for your recommendations, as long as it's someone who can really vouch for your character, that's what they're looking for.
So I mean, listening to all the other panelists, I mean, yeah, I've been through all these things, and I wholeheartedly agree. And it just kind of reinforces how I got into UT was just through sheer persistence. I did the transfer student walkthrough days, where you visit the campus and you get to tour the college that you are interested in. Ask all the questions you could possibly think of, like try to pick their brain, figure out what kind of candidate they want to apply. Um, using your academic transfer advisor over and over, or just emailing them, hey, read over this essay with me. What do you think? Like, ask for as much advice as possible. Never take no for an answer. I was actually told no the beginning of June, and I was super bummed out. And, I didn't really have a backup plan. So I would also recommend, I mean, yeah, of course, look at other schools, but I was just so determined, like, go to UT, but it always has, it always is beneficial to have like a backup plan when that doesn't work out. So when I was talking with my transfer advisor and I was trying to figure out, okay, where do I go next? Maybe I can go to San Antonio, but I don't want to drive down there. Tried to find somewhere with an online program. So I was thinking either Texas State, UT San Antonio. I mean, another reason to look up, have these backups in mind ahead of time. Yes, UT is more stringent. Their cutoff times are shorter. Um, you know, with UT San Antonio, I think you can get in up until you could apply up until July 15th. But that's stuff you really want to know ahead of time. But as I'm going back and forth with my transfer advisor and saying like, hey, like, how do I get in? Like, do I just go for a semester and then try to reapply? um, you know, how can we make my transfer packet better? We looked over all the different parts, okay, well, you don't have any community outreach experience or, extracurricular clubs. I mean, work 40 hours a week, it's kind of hard. UT takes those things into consideration, which is why they really push this whole holistic approach thing to their application process. But, I thought, okay, well, that's something I could work on, try to incorporate that too. But as we're working through this, he suggested I try to reach out to UT, find out what my GPA is, because my GPA with ACC was really high, but because of all my other previous colleges I went to, I don't know what was being considered and what wasn't. Um, and so through a back and forth of not really getting anywhere, he reached out to someone over there, and I ended up having a Zoom call with the director of transfer students at UT, my ACC transfer advisor myself, and I was told all about Academic Fresh Start and how it works. Um, and I was able to actually appeal my decision by submitting the Academic Fresh Start paperwork. And so I went through the whole review process and got in the second time. So, I mean, what I'm trying to say is don't take no for an answer, be persistent, let people know what you want. Don't let that stop you.
So something that I recommend is like honing in on the support around you, because Shay actually just inspired me this panel. Um so there was something, with my what was really holding me up was my essay, because there was something that I could talk about that I was really uncomfortable talking about, but it speaks to me and it speaks to like why I'm taking the road that I want to take with my career path and why I'm choosing the degree programs that I'm choosing. And at first I was like, I don't know if I want to talk about that. Like, I'm not really comfortable. But Shay, you actually just inspired me to go ahead and like have that uncomfortable conversation with myself and talk about it, because it really speaks to who I am. But I do want to recommend that, like, talk to your peers and see what they're doing or what you can do differently and things of that sort, because peer support is like really important. Talk to your professors, talk to everyone. I talk to my therapist. She doesn't know like a lot of the things that I do at school, but then I go in there and I'm like, hey man, I need to talk about this. I talk to everyone. I talk to the people in student life. I talk to the people in the accelerator. I walk in, some of the faculty suites sometimes. And I'm like, hey, can I talk to you about this? Like, I'm just in different departments and different people, and I'm talking to them, and I'm taking in that information on how I can apply it to what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to accomplish. So that's something that I do really recommend. It's just look around you, look who supports you, and don't be afraid to ask for help throughout the process.
And T, can I point out another big thing that just happened to you recently, that you're going to be the SGA, what is it?
Oh, yeah, that. The
Yeah.
president.
The what?
Student government president.
Yeah, so this is your student government president. So when you all think of peer support, we have a peer here that will.
Yeah, you
support
can come to me. I will support you.
I just want to reiterate on something that T said about peer support. The students that you're going to be in these classes with, you are going to see them repeatedly. Shay and I actually spent about a year and a half together just running into each other in honors classes. And through that, we developed a pretty close friendship. And we were both applying to McCombs, so we kind of supported each other. My transfer process really started from day one at ACC because I knew McCombs was the school I wanted to go to. And the reality of that was that they're very numerically focused. And a lot of us want to throw around holistic review, but the first thing that McCombs look at is your GPA. And their average GPA was for pretty up there. I don't want to discourage, I don't want to discourage anybody, but that's the first thing you had to focus. So all the other holistic elements really kind of came in after I narrowed in on that grades. And I know it's so stressful. So having peer support groups and people that you can talk to who who are going through the same thing, Going through calculus it wasn't the easiest thing for me. Also, like academic fresh start, there's so many of us who are on the academic fresh start. If you don't know what that is and you're eligible, if you took classes like 10 years ago, you came out of high school, you still have that chance. So, attend one of their seminars, talk to your advisor about it, know what you're getting into. And then when it came to like the essay, I'm a master procrastinator. But I sat down in December of that before the deadlines were coming in. And I was like, okay, I'd had this thing marinating in my head for 2 years now. So it's time to put pen to paper. And I came up with 8 pages. And I'm like, okay, this is way too much and way too deep because, they give you a word count. And so I just trashed it. Honestly, I looked at it, it was a jumbled mess. I had to rethink about how I wanted to structure it and what I wanted to present to the admissions committee. So it wasn't until like my 4th or 5th iteration of my essay that I came together with something that I thought was pretty good. And it was still 1,000 words. And so I had to do some cutting. Which meant meeting with, my friends, like talking with my wife. I was fortunate enough to have a friend who was actually served with an admissions committee for an Ivy League. And so they were telling me about the things to focus on. Like UT wants to know that you know who they are. The biggest advice that they gave me was to focus on the mission statement. Like, what is UT's mission statement, or what is McCombs' mission statement? Collaboratively minded, future focused, innovator connected. Like, these are things that you want to reflect in your essay. And not just that, I also let my references know that these are the values that McCombs is looking to. If you could tailor that letter to these values to show that I'm a good candidate, I think those are what really kind of pushed me over the edge. That, and of course, the GPA.
So we are going to open it up to questions from the audience in a minute. But as a last question from me, what is one piece of advice that oh, you know what? Hold on real quick. Remember when they said peer support, and this morning I kept saying, here's your chance, make friends. You all have the same goals. That is why I did that, because the importance of peer support. Okay, what is one piece of advice that each of you have for this group that came to this event? Some are current ACC students, some are just about to start their first semester this fall. Yeah, what is the one piece of advice you have for them to encourage them or motivate them or make sure that they meet their transfer goals? And start counting to the left.
Based on my story, I would, again, it sounds kind of like cliche, but I mean, seriously, just persistence. Just do not take no for an answer, and don't be afraid to bother people. And we've all been kind of saying that, where, we've hit up our transfer advisor so many times, or we read over this essay so many times. Like, do what it takes. You're not bothering them. That's their job. They're happy to help you. Um, yeah, that's all I got.
Um, some advice that I have is understand your why. So like know why you're doing it and hone in on that. And also like what was it that understand that like your process and the way that you're going to navigate it, it looks different for your peers. It looks different for everyone around you. So try not to compare yourself or put the pressure on yourself to keep up with everyone else, because everyone's journey look different. So you look at what you want, you understand your why, and understand that it's going to look different for the person sitting next to you, but try to ground yourself and figure out how to navigate that process in the way that it works best for you. So.
I was literally also going to say, remember your why in this process. As like a non-traditional student, there were so many times where I was like in class and I was overwhelmed, and sometimes I was like, why do I even want this degree? Like, do I really want to go back to school? And then I have to remember my why I decided to come back to school after 10 years. And that kind of keeps me grounded and motivates me to keep pushing forward. So definitely remember that. And also, like, for me, at least, I dealt with a lot of imposter syndrome. Like, there's some times where I don't know if I deserve to be in these spaces. And I feel like everyone feels that a lot of times. So just keep pushing forward.
I think one of the biggest advice that I can give you is plan. Do not procrastinate. Make a plan and to not let your anxiety overwhelm you. It is an overwhelming process, but you can do it.
So I'm sure many of us up here have been involved in student organizations in and around campus. One of the things I had heard while I was preparing for my transfer is that, you know, the college is really going to look at your extracurriculars and your professional work history. Like Shay and I both have work history that backed up our applications. And of course, a professional reference is going to go a long way. And then when it comes to like student organizations and what your impact is, like they don't want to just see that you're a member of a student org. They want you to be able to quantify it. Like what were you able to accomplish during your time? What was the impact of your involvement? Like be able to show that and you know let your colors fly. And I'm sure they're going to give you a good look.
Dropped mic.
Literal mic drop right there, right?
I don't know like what your ambitions are. Like sometimes people are like, I'm just trying to get through, you know, like school. I was trying to get into a school that is here in Austin, so my 4 children and my family didn't have to move. Um, but I will say that something that I think is maybe helpful advice is eliminate any reason for the universities you're applying to say no. Like any possible reason where they look at you and be like, no, like just eliminate those, right? If it's your GPA, if it's like community involvement, letters of recommendation, essay, like just try to do your best. And then another thing, I tell this to my 7-year-old a lot, but it helped me in calculus, which is, actually I heard it from a TV show, but it's how do you eat an elephant 1 bite at a time? Like if you're not uncomfortable, you're not doing it right. You know what I mean? There are going to be times you are uncomfortable and you should be. And then you just keep going. And the next thing you know, you're past it. So that's my advice.
So this is the time when I get my steps in. We have about 15 minutes. So is there anybody in the audience that has a question? And I will take the microphone to you. Yeah.
Hello, thank you for your recommendations. I have a question for you, lady who ate the elephant by pieces. As far as I understand, you applied and went for the BA, right? So, and your calculus was a terrible problem. How much did they pay attention to these problems? Did they actually narrow down like, oh, your calculus is bad, we're not going to accept you? Did they pay attention or to calculus specifically, or they just reviewed holistically?
Are you talking about the school, like looking at my, well, I got A's in calculus. So if they were, I think, looking at the GPA, like McCombs, I think average GPA is like 3.96. Is it 3.96? And I had a 3.95 or 96. So I got A's in calculus, but it was only because I had the tutors here. I would have flunked the calculus classes otherwise.
So did you know to do that because you knew that's what they're going to look for?
Yes, I knew that to get into the business school, you have to have economics, right? Micro and macro econ, and then you also have to have calculus. So those were my big obstacles.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, that's why it's important to go on the UT website. They have the ACC equivalent courses that UT wants, and part of the holistic is you get that whole list done. They won't even like for the business school, because I was going to go into marketing. So I was looking also at the business school. They won't even look at you if you don't have those specific courses done. They'll tell you for business, these are the ones you have to have done to even apply. So
And yeah, a lot of schools, like particularly when you're applying into majors, they're going to look at your major relevant coursework. So when it comes to business, calculus is a big deal, accounting is a big deal, and economics is a big deal because those are the foundations of what the rest of their program is built on. So if you don't find yourself very good at math, do what Shay did, or which is to go use the tutoring resources. I can't tell you how many times that she asked a question in class, but everyone else in class was also wondering the same thing. And we're glad that we could put Shay up there to ask the questions for us. She was very active with study groups. She led study groups throughout the entire year for calculus. She was in the tutoring lab. I always saw her. She was always working her math stuff. So it is that important when it comes to McCombs, or maybe engineering if you're applying to the engineering, computer science skills. Relevant major coursework. Focus on that.
Good. I have a question. So, as you say that many students, all of us, we have a different kind of situation during our transfer application, and I wanted to know which part was the most hard for you, because I'm the kind of student built with the experience of people, and I know that for me it's gonna be the essay. So I don't know if someone can tell maybe what was the hardest, and if it's matched, try to explain to me.
So for each of you, what was the hardest part of the application process, right? Okay.
I think definitely it was the essay, hands down. The GPA, you just do well in your classes or pick something not too challenging. That's, one thing. Community involvement, you can sign up for something. It's that essay as a transfer student is kind of like your 2-minute elevator pitch. Like if you were to pitch a business idea to like the big boss in the elevator, you have like 2 minutes to do it, except you have 750 words. So, as everyone was saying, you need to say why UT. That's a huge reason if you're trying to do UT. I'm sure any other school is going to want to hear, why do you want to go to our school? Also, you have to make it about yourself. So with UT in particular, and I'm sure, again, other schools are like this, they want to hear about you. Freshman students writing essays, they have to pick from a list of topics. So it's more of like a regular school assignment. This, you have to be extremely creative, and you're going to want to tell them everything about you. And, like this gentleman was saying, oh, I thought I had a good essay and I had 1,000 words by the time I was done. And you will find yourself cutting it down more and more and realizing every single word on that essay counts. So for me, that was the most challenging thing, is to try to get everything out of my head and every bit of relevant information down as possible. So definitely start early. Don't hold off to the last minute, because you'll want to go over it over and over.
For me, I feel like the hardest part of the application is the waiting to get a response. UT does a very, very late response time. So if you plan to apply to UT, I would also go ahead, apply to other schools. Do not just apply to UT. Don't do it. Apply to other schools as well, because UT has such a late decision, and make sure to communicate with those other schools. They will give you extensions, because it's in July, and most schools will give you an answer in June. And so you have to wait like way to the end of July to get a response from UT. So the waiting is, I feel like, sometimes the hardest part of the process. I feel like that was difficult for me was definitely the essay, for being a humanities English major. Here at ACC, I can write a lot, and obviously I can talk. And so having the ability and the resources to be able to show that essay to my transfer advisor constantly and be like, what do I need to cut? What do I need to cut? What is unnecessary? Because sometimes you get eye blind to your essay, and you need somebody else to read it, and they are a great resource to do that. So yeah.
So speaking of essays, when you're applying to multiple different colleges, how do you go through the process of editing your essays for each specific college that you're trying to apply for?
I recommend like being into the colleges you're wanting to like apply to for one, because like I think I also was applying to universities that I was like, I'm not planning on moving out of the state. Like I don't, but hey, who knows? It's exhausting. Like every single university that you're applying to is probably going to ask you for either answers to questions where you have to answer like 1,000 words, or, just maybe simpler questions like 250 words, but then they have several of those, or they ask you for like an essay. It's just really intense. And so that's why I was saying, like, when you start the application process, start it in December and just really take your time with it. Make sure you know what every single school you're applying to is asking for. Like Common App is probably where you're going, and they have all the universities. Then you go to apply and they tell you all the things that they're going to ask you. And so you'll know, and then you have time to be really thoughtful. But then I think just being intentional, like if you really want to go there, then it's easy. Like UT, I really, really wanted to go, and I really was trying, and I was thoughtful about it, intentional, and I had months to think about it. All the other universities, I was applying right when the deadline was about to hit, and I just don't think that's wise. But I also didn't want to go there, so I don't know if that's helpful. Okay.
Yeah. In specific, I used the same essay for every school, but I went in and edited it. I looked up their classes for that college I wanted to get into, and I specifically named classes I would want to take. I named teachers that I'm excited to meet. I specifically want to end up doing a master's and PhD program. I mentioned that in there. If you want to do research, specifically with UT, they want to become an R1, the number one research. That's their goal for this year, is to become the number one research institute in the United States. Mention that you want to do research. They would love to hear that kind of stuff.
Okay, I had a question. So I was wondering, what was a resource that you really used that helped you be like the most successful you could be here, like that you swear by?
So one resource that I used here was the honors program. The honors program is, I think, what really set my application apart, because they had so many interactive programs that you could join on top of just taking your honors classes. So a few of us here did the Youth and Community Studies Fellowship at UT in the spring. So we were able to interact with some of the professors at the School of Education. And then some of us also did the LBJ school, I think it was the PPIA. And then that also, we were able to interact with more professors at UT. And we got access to those applications through the honors program. Dr. Thomas is amazing. She sends out weekly newsletters, and she'll list all the programs that are taking applications, any scholarships that are also have applications. The honors program truly is what made the difference in my journey here at ACC.
I can just reiterate the honors. Shay and I are both honors students. Ashley, you're an honors student. So the programs like the Youth Community Studies Fellowship, all the opportunities. Dr. Thomas sends out emails like every week. She sends an email with a link to a newsletter where they have all these opportunities for you to really get out there, spread your wings, and find things that are going to make your resume stand out.
And I would also say, if, say, your GPA is not the best, that you can't, interact with the honors program, find a club that is very active. Join the club. I was president of ACC Collegiate DECA. It's a business, even though was an English major, it was a business. It is a business organization, and we actually did competitions, and we competed against UT and Rice and all of the main Texas colleges. And so having stuff like that is great, because they're showing that you're active. You're not just going to class and going home. So.
Yeah. Not to promote us or anything here, But if you guys are interested in getting involved, we have 44 officer positions in Student Government Association. We have a lot of leadership opportunities that we're offering the students here this year. So if you guys are interested in joining the org, get with me because we are recruiting. So.
I said it before and I'll say it again. The tutors at ACC are amazing. Like they changed how I was able to do things. Like I was successful because I had tutors. I believe that wholeheartedly. And then also honors, like the whole like growth mindset thing. It's like when I thought about taking honors classes, I was like, I'm kind of a bozo, and Walt can attest to this because I was in calculus with him. I'm a bit of a bozo. And so thinking about taking an honors class, I was like, I'm probably not gonna, and I did well. I succeeded and it was wonderful. And I love the professors. So I recommend honors, really. Elevate without having to like rearrange your whole life. You know what I mean?
And the honors classes are like, they're not AP classes. If you're a high school, they're honors classes. They are not harder. They're specialized. Like British literature, you could take a regular British literature class or a horror British literature class and read Frankenstein. So that they're specialized. They're not harder.
Recommend when looking at those honors classes, see which ones speak to you because every class that I've taken in the honors program is tailored to the degree that I'm trying to transfer into in my career path as well. So I do recommend that if you guys are interested.
This was not a paid advertisement for honors or transfer services or tutoring. And I know that this panel includes students going to UT. The experiences that they talked about are not just experiences that are helpful for the point of getting a strong application. These are experiences that are really going to help change your college experience, help you build a foundation for what you do next, whether it's going to a school that has a holistic application or one that has assured admission. So like I said, tomorrow we have our resource fair where you're going to be able to connect with a lot of those resources, learn about some of the honors courses, see who the tutors are and what they offer. But it is 2:30, so we want to thank our online audience, everybody who joined us on Zoom. Yay. And we really want to thank our panelists. It was inspiring for me. I love hearing about the things ACC students are doing. You all are amazing. Congratulations on all your accomplishments. And I am excited about in a few years when some of you all attending boot camp will be here on our panel. So thank you all for being here. Let's give them a round of applause.